Hello, middle school violins. My name is Mr. Silvestri. I'm the orchestra director at Wando High School. Today I'm going to lead you through the second of your two region orchestra excerpts for next year. I'm going to start by performing it for you, and then I'll walk you through it step by step. All right, so here we have a nice little minuet in G major in the style of Haydn. And tempo-wise, your tempo is marked at quarter note equals 100, which is about here. And if you don't have a metronome at home, you could always look up one on YouTube like I did here. That's a great way to practice. A couple of things we're going to do as we go through this. So I want to start by just establishing some of our finger patterns that we're going to use here. So let's start on the E string, and we're going to go through first through fourth position here to kind of get these finger patterns in our left hand. That'll make this a lot easier as we work on the shifting in these first two lines. So for G major, in first position on the E string, you're going to have this finger pattern, your 1 and 2 half steps. So you have first finger on F sharp, second finger G, whole step to A, and fourth finger B. So 1 and 2 are touching, and up and down it'll sound like this. Next, we're going to go to second position, and I'll start that by saying that you can change the fingerings in this excerpt if you would like, if your orchestra teacher or private teacher have something different. But for this tutorial, I'll go through what's in the part just so you have something to work with as a start. So if I'm in second position, I'm going to slide up a half step. My first finger goes to G, second finger is on A, a whole step away, third finger whole step to B, and then my half step here is between my third and fourth finger, B to C. So it'd be G, A, whole step to B, and half step to C. So up and down it would sound like this. In third position, I slide up and I have my half step between 2 and 3. First finger A, whole step to B, half step to C, and fourth finger D is your whole step away. So it would sound like this in third position, starting on first finger A, whole step to B, half step to C, and whole step to D. Up and down. And our last one's going to be fourth position. So for fourth position, my first finger slides up to B. I have a half step to C, whole step to D, and a final whole step to that fourth finger E. And if you ever want to check that E, that's also where your middle harmonic is. That's a good way to kind of figure out where that top of that fourth position is. So fourth position is first finger B, half step to C, whole step to D, and fourth finger E. Again, up and down. And if you wanted to really get awesome at this excerpt, you might do a little etude like this. This is where you go up and down in each position. So if it were me, I would do something like this. Start in first, then second, then go up to third, 2 and 3, then up to fourth. So that's one way you can do that to kind of get those finger patterns in your ear. The next thing that will help as you go through this excerpt is to just look at it visually and notice the pattern. So if you look at the first line and the second line, they're exactly the same. They have the same notes, the same rhythms, the same dynamics, the same shifting places, except for the very last measure. So they're identical except for that last measure that changes. Same thing lines 3 and 4. So you have the same notes, same rhythm, same dynamics, same shifts, except that very last measure is the same. So to learn this excerpt, you really only have to learn 2 lines of music with slightly different endings, which is really nice. So let's start breaking it down. I want to do the first 3 bars. So you start in first position, And then in bar 2, you have a little pivot shift. You do a 1-1 shift to second position, and you stop on that fourth finger C. So let's do from the very beginning. We're going to go slow through it. Ready? Nice and slow. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. There you go. So you should end in second position with those 3 and 4 touching. Let's try that much again. Ready, go. And 1, 2, 3, 4. Very nice. So the next bar, so bars 3 and 4, we're going to stay on that fourth finger C, and here we're going to shift the fourth position right on that B here at the end of bar 4. So let's try that. Let's stop on that note to practice that shift. So we're going to start in bar 3 on that fourth finger C, and then we're going to stop on the B in bar 4. Ready, go. And 3, 2, 1, 2, shift. Oh, sorry, that wasn't my best shift. Let's try it again. Here's bar 3. 3, 2, 1, 2, shift. There you go. And once you shift to that B, you have that half step C right next to it, and you end on that third finger D. Let's try all of that. Let's do bars 1 through bar 4 here, all the way to that third finger D. All right, so here is bar 1 through 4. 3, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. There you go, very nice. And just a quick musical thing before we get too far into this is that one of the things my teacher when I was in college always told me is that if you have something that's the same or repeated, make it different. So if you notice in these first 2 lines, we have lots of measures with just 3 quarter notes by themselves. So my suggestion would be to put a little crescendo through each of those. So instead of playing the very beginning, just boring and all the same, maybe a little crescendo. You could use some vibrato. For each of those. A little crescendo makes that a lot more exciting. All right, let's talk through this measure here. This is bar 6, I believe. So looking at bar 6, you're in fourth position because you just got up there back in bar 3 or bar 4, but then you kind of pivot down to third. So you're in fourth position for your first 4 notes. So you have second finger C. This is, again, bar 6, third finger D, fourth finger E. You go back to second finger C, and then on that A with the Roman numeral 3 below it, you do a little pivot back to third position. So you have first finger A right here. Then you have fourth finger G on the A string, third finger F sharp right next to it. This is the last 2 bars right here. And then right a half step across the string from that F sharp is your fourth finger D, first finger A. Again, this is all in third position. Then your very last measure here, you have B, half step to C, fourth finger D, first finger A, and then back to B. So that little pivot here is the hard part. Let's start right here on bar 1, 2, 3, 4. Start on bar 5. So this is bar 5, that third finger D in fourth position. And we got to practice that pivot back to third position in the next bar. Ready? Here's bar 5, 2, and 3, and. There you go, and you end right on that first finger A in third position. Let's try that again. There's your third finger D in fourth position. Ready, go, and. First finger A. There you go. That's a tricky part. And then we'll do to the very end. So let's start on that measure one more time, and then we'll finish out that first line. So here is bar 5 on the D. Ready, 2, and 3, and. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Very nice. Let's do that last bar again. So this is bar 8, the last bar of the first line. Starting on second finger B with 2 and 3 touching. Ready? 2 and 3 and. Do it one more time. And. Very nice. Let's do the whole first line nice and slow. Ready? 1 and 2, line 1 and. Four. Shift. 3, 3, 4, 3, 4, 1. All right, very nice. And again, like I mentioned earlier, you just learned the entire second line except this very last part here. So if I'm starting right here on the second line in third position, you go back to first for the last measure. So instead of staying in third position like we did on line 1, you just go back to first position. So the last two of the second line will sound like this, starting on that third finger F sharp. And here, intonation-wise, it's really important when you're playing third finger F sharp and then your fourth finger D right next to it. You have that's a half step across the string. So 3 and 4 should be really, really close there. So let's do the last two bars of line 2. Ready, 2, and 3, and. Then first position. And my apologies, that second notes aren't slurred. So the last bar of the second line would be with the slur then separate. So slur, up, down, up. All right, very nice. Let's do that again. The last two of line 2. Finding there F sharp and then the half step really close. Ready, go, and. First. Very nice. All right, this next part gets a little bit tricky. So here I want to hear a big crescendo over these 4 bars up to this forte. So it drops off suddenly to piano. And then a couple things articulation-wise here. So look at bar 17 on that third line. You have a slur across the bar, across the measure with a staccato dot on that high D. So what that tells me as a violinist is that I'm just going to stop my bow on the D and make it, kind of let it, I'll say clip short. So it'll be 1, 2, 3. I just kind of stop my bow so that note, it's still a quarter note, but it gets that that crispness to it. Let's try that again. Ready, go. 1, 2, 3. And you just stop your bow. Very nice. The next part, you have these grace notes here on the 8th notes. And one of the things that I was always taught is that whenever you have a grace note or a trill or a turn, you want to make sure your main rhythm stays intact. So all of this here, we're in third position for these first 4 bars. So we have our 2 and 3 finger pattern again, intonation-wise. But what I want you to focus on is making sure this rhythm before you add the grace note is really steady. So if I start in bar 18, that second bar is on the B, it'll be. So before you add the grace notes, I would play it like that. Let's try those first 3 bars of the third line without the grace notes. So it'll sound like this. 2, 3. 2, 3. 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3. 1. Very nice. Let's try that again. Here's line 3. Ready, go. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3. 1. Very nice. And then what your grace note is just a slight note before it. I always tell my students it's kind of like you messed up. You played a C instead of a B, and you correct it right away. So with the grace notes, starting in 17, it'll sound like this. Ready, and 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, and 3. So you use the quick note right before the beat. All right, and then the next thing you want to do is add a crescendo. So let's try that. So start at the frog, even though it's piano, so you have lots of bow. And 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. Very nice. And all through this is all just third position right there with your 2 and 3 finger pattern. For your next part, the last 4 bars of line 3, you stay in third, and then right here, you're going to shift to 4th position. So that is bar 4, 3, bar 22. You go straight up to 4th position with that finger pattern we talked about at the very beginning, 1 and 2. And you also you stay and you go to the A string here for these last 3 notes. So to walk you through that bar, first finger B. So again, this is bar 4, 3, 2, bar 22. First finger B, half step to C, third finger D, back to first finger B, 4th finger A on the A string, whole step to third finger G, then right next to your third finger G, so you had A, G, right next to it is your F sharp. And then you go back to the E string for that 4th finger E. So this is bar 23. So you have second finger F sharp, 4th finger E here. Then you go way back to first position. So this last note here, you're going to go way back up to the high E to first position. and you're good to go. So let's do those last 3 bars. So starting in bar 22 again, this is 4th position. Let's go, I apologize. Let's go to bar 18, 19, 20, 21, right here on this forte. So 3rd position, then you pivot to 4th. Ready, 2, 3. Shift, 1, 2, 3, 1, 4, 3. Half step, 4. 1st position. Let's try that again. So back at the forte on the 1st finger A. Ready, go. And A, shift. 1, 2, 3, 1, 4, 3, 2, 4, 1st. Very nice. Let's do all of line 3, nice and slow. Ready? 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1. 1. Crescendo, 1, 2, 3, 1. Now 4th. 1, 2. Half step, 2, 4, 1st. Very nice. And then the recording I made at the very beginning of this excerpt, I kind of went on quick, but notice you have this little lifts here. And they're bowing actually down, up, down, up, down, up. You end on an up bow, and you're going down bow here. So that's not a bow lift, that's kind of a breath lift. You can take a little bit of time before you go to the last line. And your very last line, it's exactly the same that we just did, except instead of playing all of those notes there, you just end on a G. And you can also take a little ritardando at the very end to make it musically a little more interesting. So let's try it before I let you all go. Let's go all the way through. So if you look at the beginning, I kind of played it for you at tempo, but let's go through all the way one time, a little bit under tempo. So if you want to practice along, ready? From the whole excerpt, 1 and 2. Shift. Line 2. Same thing. Shift. First. Now soft. 1, 2, 3. Crescendo. A little more. And even more. Very nice. 4th. First. You can take a little time. 1, 2, 3, 1. A little more. Even more. Shift. One, two, on. All right, very nice. Good luck, guys, as you prepare. If you have any questions, I'm happy to help however I can. If you need to get in touch with me, just Google Wando Orchestra. Our website will be the first one to pop up. You can find my email there and more information. And I'm sure your orchestra teacher or private teacher will be happy to help as well. So good luck, guys, and I'll hopefully see you in the fall at Regent Orchestra.